Hey everyone, this week I'm talking about 5 fragrances that I love that don't get nearly enough love in the fragrance community. Stay tuned. So before I begin, I want to say for my channel, it is mainly about me learning, discovering, and sharing that with you. But that being said, I am a man of the people, and if there's some way that I can impart some of what I've learned to you guys in a useful way that you enjoy, go ahead and let me know, drop a comment, something like that. That's why I'm doing this video. No one asked for it in particular, but I was like, well, I would find this useful, so I'm gonna put it out there, and if you like it, let me know. I picked out a lot more fragrances than this, but I'm gonna keep it to 5 in this video just to try and keep it from being way too long. I want it to be consumable. So let me know, because I've got other fragrances that I can add to this. And the only other thing I want to say too in this is that I tried to keep it below about $50. I think I did a fairly decent job with that. And there is one clone in there that if you got the real thing, it would not be under $50, but the clone is, so that's why I'm including it. Let's get right into it. I'm going to start off number 1 with Black Origami from Maison Alhambra. This is one maybe you've heard about. I feel like this doesn't get as much love as the other ones. And this one is one of my favorites from Maison Alhambra. If you don't know, Maison Alhambra is a sub-house of Lattafa, so it produces clones. I think the Maison Alhambra, for the most part, there's a couple that have been kind of middling to me, but for the most part, they all at least smell very high quality. And that's the case with this one as well. This is a clone of Black Orchid from Tom Ford. And if you've never smelled it, it is dark, earthy. There's like a truffle note in it. I think plum as well. And it's got this like dark, fruity, floral, earthy sort of thing going on. I think I've described this as kind of like an elegant version of standing inside of a greenhouse. You get that kind of earthy, green, dirt sort of a thing, but it doesn't smell dirty. It still smells clean. It just kind of has that vibe of a greenhouse. I absolutely love this one. I think you can get it for under $40 at least, if not under 30. And I think this one probably steers a little bit more feminine typically. However, I don't think there's any reason that a man couldn't wear this. It's got a little bit of subtle sweetness to it. I think this would be a good date night fragrance. I like this for fall and winter in cooler weather. It's a nice kind of warm, soft, sweet, earthy, you know, got all of those elements going on. So check out this one. Next up, for anyone who has been here and seen me do videos of these before, this one is not going to be new to you because I talk about it a lot, and the fragrance community doesn't just not hype this one, they actually hate it. But I've got an argument for why I think they shouldn't, and that is Azzaro's Wanted Tonic. Oh boy, people hate this one. And I think the reason that they hate this one, let me spray it on a strip. I think the reason that people hate this one is because they paid full freight for it. I think if you paid $85 or more for this, it's not a good deal. However, that being said, this is now discontinued, but it's still available, and it's available for cheap. You can get this for like 24 bucks off Joma Shop. This is like a dumb, easy reach for spring, summer, the gym, anything like that. You got this kind of like shower jelly thing going on with like ginger in there, giving it a bit of a zing. So it's this really fresh thing that I think smells really good. I really love it. And when it dries down, I feel like there is like more than the original Wanted, which I feel like is extremely linear. This actually, I think, does have like it changes on the dry down. Like you have this like lime, I think, in the opening. That kind of dissipates, but in the dry down, I kind of get like a touch of leather, which I think is super interesting in this. So I think this fragrance is way more interesting than it ever got credit for being, and I think people need to give it another shot. And at $24 for 100 mil, if you don't own this one, it's 24 bucks. That's a easy sell in my opinion. I think it's a good, dumb, easy reach. If you want a shower gel sort of like blue, not blue like in the Bleu de Chanel, but like blue colored juice, like a fresh summertime scent. This is really not bad. I like it a lot. Okay, next up is one I don't think I've talked about. I've featured it on my Instagram before, and it's actually one of my favorite little cheapies, and I have a small bottle because that's what they had at the rack store, but that is Tommy Now. So I'm 38. I grew up with Tommy in the 90s. That was like the scent. That was, and still holds up, by the way. I think that scent, it isn't just nostalgia. That scent is still good, still smells amazing. Maybe not as strong as it was in the 90s, but I love it still endlessly. And this doesn't smell like it, but I think it is like maybe one of the better flankers. It came out like 25 or 30 years after the original or whatever, but I think it's maybe one of the better flankers for a fragrance that I've ever smelled. And the reason why is because it doesn't really share, to my nose, the DNA of the original, but it feels like if the original was made today, it would probably smell kind of like this. Like this is to me, I get a ton of cedar out of this. I get a lot of cedar, and it's this like woody, fresh kind of fragrance. Whereas the original Tommy, I think like cactus was one of the big notes that would kind of stood out to people. I like this. This is a unique DNA because of how cedar forward it is. I feel like a lot of fragrances have Atlas cedar or Virginia cedar or whatever in there, and I have no doubt that they actually have cedar in them. But I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and cedar is like we eat it as food. Literally, we like cook our fish on it and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with cedar. We're surrounded. Well, I'm not surrounded by it right now, I think. Maybe I am actually. What are these? Actually, these might be cedars. All right. I'm literally surrounded by cedars right now, I think. I mean, there's some deciduous trees too. Like if I were to give my son a fragrance, like I don't have a son, but if I had a son and I was going to like give him a fragrance, I probably would look at something like this because it's youthful, but it's not childish. Like it's got a subtle sweetness to it. The cedar is very nice, so it comes across as kind of clean, woodsy, fresh. And I really like it a lot. If you haven't smelled Tommy now, I think you should get your nose on it. I think it's a really interesting, fun fragrance. I really enjoy wearing it too. And it lasts a good long time. I like it. It lasts for, well, I wouldn't say a good long time. I'd say probably between 5 and 6 hours typically. But because it's so wood forward, it is gonna hang around as a skin scent for a while. So check that out. Okay, next up, I think I have the most expensive one on the list here. And it's probably also maybe the least safe on the list, but it's also probably one of my favorites on the list, and that is Declaration from Cartier, and it's the EDT. So this is the version that came out, I think, in 1998. And by the way, the atomizer on this thing is a myth. Like, for the first 6 months of being in this hobby, I thought it was basically you had like the 3 a.m. style pressurized atomizers and everything else. I've learned that's not the case at all. This one's very nice. Like it's one of those things where you talk about reviewers and they talk about how you can control, you know, how the spray and stuff like that. And it is a fire hose too, so it sprays a lot. So I've been talking like in recent videos or videos that I may release after this one because I'm not sure which order I'm going to release them, but I have been talking about a couple of different fragrances that I kind of classify as like garden vegetable fragrances. Basilico, I think I got that right, and Fellini was one of them. Neo, that was from Wilhelm Parfumerie. Neo from Xerjoff, and I think this is kind of in the same vein, but different in a very key way that makes this, I think, better than those other two fragrances, even though those are niche fragrances that cost like at least 5 times this, because I think this is around 50 bucks on Amazon for 100 ml. So this is got that kind of like green vegetation thing going on, kind of a spicy green fragrance with it's a little bit more subtle soapiness in this one. But the soapiness is there to counteract one of the other major prominent notes in this, which is cumin. Cumin, if you're not familiar with it, is one of those spices that when you eat it, you also sweat it out. So between that and the fact that it already kind of naturally smells a little bit sweaty, it can kind of give you that animalic feeling in a fragrance, and that's in here for sure. I think the way that I best think about this fragrance, because I think this is like a great work scent, in spite of that like kind of animalic sweatiness to it, it still comes across as clean and fresh. It's this really interesting contradiction. I think this fragrance, to me, it makes me think of like 90s office worker who has a whole bunch of tattoos, so they wear like long sleeve shirts and stuff like that to cover all their, you know, tattoos up. that's basically what this is. Because when you're out in the air, I feel like you don't really get much of that cumin note. Out in the air, you just kind of get this fresh, green, zingy thing. More of the soapiness out in the air, which is pretty great. It's only when you get kind of up close and intimate, when you roll up the sleeves, that you see, oh, there's something else going on here. I love that in fragrances. I love hidden depths. I love finding those. So this one is one of my favorites. I really want to get the Parfum version. I've heard it's not similar. That's cool. I have Declaration Essence, and I'm going to get Haute Fraiche because I love the smell of those, and I want to talk about all of them at some point. But the original from 1998 was so far ahead of its time, and it has it's way better smelling than it has any right to be for $50. It also lasts a really good amount of time. So this is like a great work scent. I feel like you could spray this on, and by the time you get home from work, it'll probably have dissipated mostly at that point, and you can either spray a bed scent or just not wear anything. I like this one a lot though. So check it out. You can smell this at like Nordstrom, they've got it. We're gonna round this out with one that I don't think I've ever seen anyone else talk about. And I don't think that it's like a groundbreaking fragrance, but I think that it is so good for the price, which is around $20, $24. And it doesn't smell cheap at that price. I think it smells like a full, complete, well-blended fragrance that I'm surprised that no one talks about that. And that is Boss Selections from Hugo Boss. This fragrance is easier to describe in vibes than it is notes, because I don't know if I can pull out any specific note from this, but what it gives me is, it starts off with this kind of clean laundry, but it's a subtle clean laundry. It doesn't just smell like you stuck your head in the dryer. It's got this kind of like soft, cozy sort of feeling to it. Subtle sweetness, and it's very inviting. It's green, it's a little bit green, a little bit, and a lot musky. I think this is a lot of musks. I think it's a lot of floral musks, so it comes across soft, cozy, inviting, like I was saying. And I think this is probably one of the better work scents that I have. And the reason why is this. It's not a monster. It's not gonna fill a room. It's not going to project super far off your skin. But what it will do is it will give you a really nice kind of like bubble. And if people catch a whiff, I think like when I smell this, it kind of immediately makes me drop my guard. It just kind of makes me relax a little bit. It's got that kind of like cozy vibe where when you smell it, you just go, oh, things are okay. You know what I mean? That's a really weird thing to say, but like, I smell this and I'm like, okay, nothing bad can be going on. Nothing that bad can be going on. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird way to describe it. And I have been sitting with this one for like 8 months and wear it fairly frequently. It has such a unique signature to it that is so inviting, and I really like it a lot. I don't think that it's challenging, it's not aggressive, it's nothing but inviting, but it's unique. So no one talks about Boss Selections. They should. This is a great scent. Maybe no one talks about it because it's like super old. I think it came out in like 2014 though. I don't know, maybe it was just repackaged in 2014. So maybe this is just like a super old fragrance that I'm just now getting on like slow bro. But I think there's a lot of other people out there who are in my camp, and there's a lot of people that have been making videos only for the last few years. So that means that maybe they haven't covered this one. And I've seen videos of people going through rack stores and they pass by this one. I'm like, oh man, you guys are missing out. You're missing out. So go to your local Ross, TJ Maxx, whatever. There's a chance they have this there. I've seen it there a handful of times. I think it's always worth picking up. It's a great scent. Those are the 5 that I've got. Kind of rank those in order of the most, the interest, but I will say, I love all of these. These are all fragrances that I wear with some sort of regularity. Obviously, I have so many fragrances, I can't wear them all that much, but I wear these ones somewhat regularly. I really enjoy them, and for the price, they're just way better than they have any right to be, and no one seems to be talking about them. I mean, I've seen like videos here and there maybe, but they're just not getting the love that they absolutely deserve. Did I get this one right? Anyone who smelled these, do you think I made fair arguments, or am I completely off base? Is Wanted Tonic irredeemably bad? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.